Kamisato Ayato is a clever swordsman who's the head of the Kamisato clan and Ayaka's older brother. His kit comes with great damage, versatility, and he's easy to play. If you're looking for a main or sub-DPS Hydro character that can fit into a variety of teams, you found your character. This guide will cover his kit, weapons, artifacts, constellations, and a showcase. Let's dive in. Ayato's elemental skill leaves behind an illusion that deals AoE Hydro damage to opponents that come in contact with it. If nothing comes in contact with it, it will explode on its own. In addition to the illusion, Ayato enters the Takemiguri state in which his normal attacks are converted into super fast AoE Hydro slashes. Whenever an attack in this state hits an enemy, Ayato gains Namisen stacks indicated by the flower-like icon that appears after using the skill. These stacks increase the damage of his Hydro slashes and he can obtain a maximum of 4 stacks. The Namisen bonus damage scales off his max HP, however, the scaling is quite low. At maximum talent level and at the maximum number of stacks, the bonus damage amounts to a little over 5% max HP. It's important to note that the damage dealt by Ayato's elemental skill is considered normal attack damage, and it has separate scaling from Ayato's normal attacks. Leveling up the normal attack talent will not increase the damage of Hydro slashes in Takemiguri state. The skill is on a 12-second cooldown with a duration of 6 seconds, effectively making it a 6-second cooldown so long as you don't swap out. Swapping out will take Ayato out of the Takemiguri state. You can hold the button and tilt your device to have Ayato stand in place and slash. You can also dodge and continue attacking so long as the stance is active. While the bulk of Ayato's damage will come from his elemental skill, his elemental burst provides him with flexibility. Ayato's elemental burst unleashes a giant field of bloom water blades that deal Hydro damage for 18 seconds. It's strikingly similar to Ganyu's elemental burst. While the scaling is not that high, it buffs the normal attack damage of the characters within the field. Because Ayato's skill counts as normal attack damage, this means that you can use his elemental burst before using his elemental skill to buff his damage. Or, you can use his elemental skill and then elemental burst to swap out and set up reactions with other characters, allowing for versatility in playstyle. The burst costs 80 energy and has a 20-second cooldown, meaning there's almost 100% uptime if you can keep up with his energy needs. Quick tip, his elemental burst will do more damage when the enemies are grouped. Ayato's first passive gives him 2 Namisen stacks upon using his elemental skill. When the illusion explodes, he is automatically granted the maximum number of stacks. Notice the change in the Namisen stack icon once the illusion explodes after making contact with the enemies. Ayato's second passive gives him back 2 energy per second if he is under 40 energy and not on the field. Notice the energy he gains back after swapping out for a few seconds and swapping back in. This part of his kit makes it easier to work around his 80 cost burst and allows him to invest a little less into energy recharge than other energy-hungry characters. Speaking of energy recharge, let's dive into his artifacts and substats. Ayato's role is pretty straightforward in that he's meant to do damage with his elemental skill. Generally speaking, you'll want to prioritize an attack sans, a Hydro goblet, and a crit rate or damage circlet depending on the weapon you choose and your stats. Because the Namisen bonus damage scales off his max HP, it's okay to use an HP sans if you have better crit rate and crit damage substats on it, or if you're using Primordial Jade Cutter. However, in most cases, you'll definitely want to switch to an attack sans as Namisen bonus damage scaling is not high enough to justify using an HP sans. Whether or not you want to use a crit rate or crit damage circlet will depend on your stats and how close you are to a 1:2 crit rate to crit damage ratio. For substats, you'll want to prioritize crit rate and crit damage, attack percent, and HP percent. It doesn't hurt if you have a little bit of energy recharge on your substats. Just remember that his passive gives him energy back when he's not on the field. As far as sets are concerned, sets that buff normal attack damage work really well with Ayato, given that his elemental skill is considered normal attack damage. Let's start with Echoes of an Offering. 4-piece Echoes has a chance to increase normal attack damage by 70% of attack. This means that there's a higher damage ceiling, but with an added layer of RNG. While it's not guaranteed to trigger, the probability increases each time it fails to trigger. This set works really well for characters whose primary way of doing damage is by normal attack, meaning it's really good for Ayato. If you're looking for a choice that's comparable and offers more stable damage, look no further than 4-piece Gladiator, as it's easy to use and offers a normal attack buff. 4-piece Gladiator buffs normal attack damage by 35% for sword users, which means it's compatible with Ayato. You can also consider 4-piece Heart of Depth, as it'll buff Ayato's entire kit, given the 15% hydro damage bonus from the 2-piece. The 4-piece will activate after using your elemental skill, which is the bulk of Ayato's damage and perfect for him given that's exactly what he wants to do. I want to be clear that the 2-piece effect from Gladiator and Echoes is the same. There's an 18% attack bonus. Therefore, feel free to mix and match 2-piece Heart of Depth along with 2-piece Gladiator or Echoes, or mix and match Echoes and Gladiator until you can form a 4-piece set of one of these options. Really, you can't go wrong with any of these options. For weapons, you'll want weapons that either buff normal attack damage, elemental damage, or HP. His best weapon is his signature weapon, Heron. It comes with several buffs including 33% crit rate, elemental damage, and normal attack damage, all of which Ayato wants. It gives a 12% elemental damage bonus, which means it will buff his entire kit, and he can also enjoy a very stable 40% normal attack damage bonus that's easily activated by simply using other party members' elemental skills. Next up, Jade Cutter. Jade Cutter is an excellent second choice given that it increases HP, which Ayato's Namisen stacks scale off of. Not only that, but it even provides an attack bonus based on the wielder's max HP. It's perfectly aligned with Ayato's kit. If that wasn't good enough, it offers a 44% crit rate. Last up for the 5 stars, Mist Splitter. Mist Splitter is also a great option if you have it. It offers 44% crit damage and a 28% elemental damage bonus at maximum stacks. For 4-star options, look no further than Black Sword. Black Sword is an amazing choice. If you're a Battle Pass only player and you're thinking about Ayato, this is your weapon. Black Sword offers a 27.6% crit rate, so just a little less than his signature weapon, and the passive increases damage dealt by normal attacks by 20% at R1 and 40% at R5. Overall, it's pretty easy to build Ayato and it's hard to go wrong. Let's take a quick look at his constellations before a showcase. Good news about Ayato, he's fully functional and equipped to fulfill his role without constellations. Ayato's constellations primarily increase his damage. C1 increases his elemental skill damage by 40% against enemies with 50% HP or less. C2 is one of his strongest constellations. It increases the maximum number of Namisen stacks from 4 to 5, and increases his max HP by 50% when he has 3 or more stacks. It's a considerable buff to his elemental skill and damage. C3 will allow you to maximize his elemental skill, which is his primary damage source. Constellation 4 will increase the attack speed of all of your party members, including Ayato, by 15%. There have been some meme builds and teams centered around attack speed increases for Ayato. If you're into that, you can aim for this constellation. C5 increases the level of his elemental bursts, which doesn't do much as the normal attack damage bonus from his burst doesn't increase at all past level 10. In other words, you don't need this constellation to get the maximum normal attack damage bonus from his burst. C6 makes the first attack after using his elemental skill produce 2 Hydro Slash attacks that do 450% of his attack as damage. They're not affected by Namisen stacks. This constellation does a ton of damage, but it only activates once per elemental skill. Honestly, Ayato is fine at C0, but if you're gonna pull for constellations, you should consider aiming for C3 and stop there. Being a Hydro unit along with his versatile elemental bursts, Ayato can fit into a variety of teams. Feel free to play him in Hyper Bloom, Hyper Carry, and even Burgeon teams. He plays nicely with a lot of the cast as he will help set up reactions. However, he is especially good with characters that can buff his normal attack damage like Yunjin and Candace. Double Hydro Resonance buff will give you a 25% HP buff, so you should always consider pairing him with another Hydro unit in your team. For the first floor, I'll be using him in a Hyper Bloom team featuring Lisa, Nahida, and Kazuha. For floor 2, I'm using him in a Burgeon team with Nahida, Xingqiu, and Toma. For the final floor, I'm using him in a soup team with Bennett, Fischl, and Yunjin. I want to be transparent in that my Ayato is Constellation 6. However, the beauty of Ayato is that you don't need his constellations for him to perform well. Now let's go kick some butt.
I see everything. The Temple of Wisdom.
Mind the deluge.
Clouds high. The birds call.
Try not to enjoy this.
Cascade.
Into the wind. One with wind and cloud. Wind strike.
I see everything. Witness the power.
Check this out. Mind the deluge. I got you covered.
The Temple of Wisdom.
The depth back.
Let me weave your apart.
Don't get too close. Fire. Cascade. Time to get serious.
Strike is one. Wings of darkness.
Cascade.
Insubordination. Teamwork is strength. Awesome.
Kamisato Ayato. Sweet.
Grand finale. And set. Observe.
Mind the deluge.
Break a leg.
Overall, Ayato's a very powerful and versatile unit that doesn't really take away from anyone's roster. I'm curious though, what does the community think? Let me know in the comments. If you liked this video and thought it was helpful, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. I also stream on Twitch at BestInImpact on weekdays at 8 p.m. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.